So we're going to go ahead and take a look at some various technological options available to us for reconnaissance on particular targets. So in the example that I have here, I've got a simple web search interface pulled up. And let's say, for example, I want to find out all of the various subdomains associated with a particular website. An example of this would be site:/vtc.com. And that's going to show me all of the sites that are unique records in the Google database. So we have the root, vtc.com, jobs.vtc.com, we have Maroot, assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly, Apex, Flash5, lcms.vtc.com. So there are various sites associated. This is a great example for us to go ahead and start doing research. Okay, obviously there's some job search and recruitment capabilities here. We have various universities linked in with this. That's part of the process for the partners. So we can take this information and start looking at each one of those individual subdomains. Now, if we wanted to go a little bit deeper into that process, then we could actually move into sort of active reconnaissance and telnet into a particular server on port 80 and try to retrieve information based on that. Now, I'm actually going to bounce around from target to target depending on the tool, simply because of the level of sensitive information that could be displayed based on some of these tools. And I've actually gone through and tested these already, but you should know that's why I'm going from internal network to external network, so that I don't reveal sensitive information during this process. So I'm actually going to telnet into one of my servers that I have set up for this process. I'm going to do so on port 80. I've established that connection, and I'm actually logged in. Now, right now, that server thinks I'm a web browser, and I've connected to it, and I'm browsing that site. And I can actually type in commands here and continue to type in commands. And the overall game plan here is to kind of freak the server out enough so that it spits back a code and says, hey, look, that doesn't work for me, but here's some useful information that might help in troubleshooting. Well, the problem with that is that allows me to fingerprint various components of that system. In this example, we're able to determine that we're running Apache version 2.0.55 on a Windows box, whether that be Windows 2000 or Windows 2003, we don't know yet, running PHP version 5.1.2. Now, at this point, if I knew vulnerabilities for particular Windows operating systems, particular versions for Apache and or PHP, I could start the exploitation process at this point. So we've really jumped ahead by going through and looking at the banner output here as part of our active reconnaissance process. Now, we could even go several steps further. We can actually do a little bit more web research at this point and see if we can locate critical information about a particular site. So we're going to go to whois.net, which is one of the regional registrars that track domain registration information. So if we want to go out there and look at vtc.com, it's going to lead us over to the network solutions. And at this point, we can see that it's actually registered to a Keith Provost. There's our various information such as mailing, contacts, phone numbers available to us for technical and administrative contacts. We can see when that record was created, when it expires, where the DNS servers exist, if we wanted to initiate a zone transfer, for example. And there's just tons of information that can be gained by going through this process. Now, bear in mind, a lot of this information can be protected, and in some scenarios, it will be not visible to the public eye. An example of this would be if I wanted to do the same process, but I wanted to do that against bradcausey.com. As you can see, all of that information is listed under Whois Privacy Protection Service. No truly sensitive information is going to be released on this particular record. And we can continue to go further and actually use a program called SamSpade, which basically combines some of the tools we're using here and allows us to get additional information. In this scenario, we can scroll down and we can even see the same information we were seeing before, but we also have options available to us, such as what IP block does it sit on. There you go, the IP block that's owned by Hurricane Electric, and there are the different options available to us. We can dig through that and try to research DNS information. We can do visual trace routes to that. We can ping that information. So there's a lot of things available to us, and at this point, that company really doesn't know exactly what we're doing. They haven't seen anything trigger on an intrusion detection system, and they're not going to raise an eyebrow to our actions, again, because they're not aware. The last tool I want to demo for you on the topic of reconnaissance is johnny.ihackstuff.com. And I'm just going to show you one example from the Google hacking database, which is this particular search query, which is looking for Microsoft IIS 5.0 servers. An example of this would be, notice that it actually gives you the DNS name associated with that. So in this scenario, if we wanted to look at that, we could say, and then we might even try sub-URLs or subdomains based on the research we did in the earlier phases, such as, we're not going to pull any results back on this, but if we wanted to, we saw that there was a VTC.com. Had they been running a Microsoft IIS 5.0 server, we might be able to extract that information and go a little bit deeper into what they're running on the infrastructure. So as you can see, there's a plethora of available resources for various types of reconnaissance. So make sure you think sharp, stay outside the box, and use the tools that are available at your fingertips.